Welcome back to another exclusive episode of Moore2Live4. Why settle for less when my last name Moore? We're gonna kick it off just like that. We got a special guest with me tonight. Good brother. I'm gonna let him introduce himself. Tell you what it is that he does and about his brand and a little bit of his background. We're gonna kick it off just like that. What's going on, bro? How you doing? How you doing?
What's popping, bro? First of all, how you doing tonight, man?
I'm hanging in there, man. I definitely appreciate you doing this for me, man.
All right, for those of your viewers who don't know, man, I'm gonna go ahead and kick it off like I would kick it off over on my spot, man. What's up? What's up? What's popping, man? It's Nate Dogg 916 coming at y'all live from Sacramento, California, man. For those of y'all who don't know, my name is Nate, aka Nate Dogg 916 on YouTube. I'm from Sacramento, California. Like I said in my little introduction. I've been from Del Paso Heights, California, to be exact. It's a suburb of Sacramento. Grew up there pretty much most of my life, other than the times I was incarcerated. At the age of 21 and a half, I was sentenced to 18 years in the California Department of Corrections for attempted murder. And I served pretty much all of that, 17 years, 10 months. Got out 8 years ago, I'm sorry, 8 years ago. And I've been doing it moving since, man, since the day I put my feet on the ground. So yeah, that's in a nutshell, that's who I am. It's so much more, but you know, we'll get into that.
Oh yeah, definitely, man. And definitely big ups to you, man. I definitely understand yesterday was a special day, man. So once again, salute to you. Everything that you've been doing, you know, since you've been home. That's how we're doing this now. With the positive things you've been doing since you've been home. But I definitely want to dig into just a little bit of your past, not too much.
Absolutely.
For my viewers, you know, I'm doing prison interviews for North Carolina inmates, and you know the prison system varies from state to state. So I wanted to, if you could, break down to my viewers, the different levels of the California state prison.
Well, yeah, absolutely, absolutely. Like, so different. How one of the main ways that the California, from what I've seen since I've been out and since I've been on YouTube. And since I've talked to people from other states, one of the main differences from California prisons and most other states is the level system that we have here. We don't just have yards. It's not just everybody goes to prison, goes on the same yards, just to matter what prison you go to. We have a classification system here that classifies you on a point system determined by your crime, your prior crimes, gang affiliations, level of education, type of family contact, all of these little things, disciplinary issues, all these things determine how many points you're going to get. And the points are what determine which level you are going to go on. And the way it broke down is, I can't tell you the exact breakdown of what points to points because it's changed since I came home. But I could tell you the levels. You have minimum facilities or camps. You have level ones, which is like the lowest level other than the camps. You got level 2, level 3, and level 4. 4 is split into two kinds of level 4s. You have the 270 design and the 180 design of level 4. If you're on the 180 design, that's basically maximum security prison. That's where our max. That's our max. If other states call it super max, or it's not the SHU. So for those of y'all thinking the SHU, no. All the SHU is, for those who don't know, is prison inside of prison. So if the main line is society, then the SHU is prison. But level 4 is where most, if not all, people who are sentenced to a life sentence. When I went to prison, if you were sentenced to 15 years or more at your sentencing, you were going to level 4 at least for 1 year off top. Because if you were sentenced to that much time, your time would be determined. That would be the main determining factor on what level you went to. Now, you can only, unfortunately for some, you can only be sentenced to 15 years and be sent to a level 4 and be sitting on yards with people who have life sentences in 150 years, and people who have been convicted for murder and numerous other cases that carry a lot of time. But let's just put it like this way. They put the worst of the worst on the level 4s, whether it be members, which is predominantly dominated by gang members, hustlers, killers, gangsters, whatever. They're all just meshed in there together. But and I really can't break down what happens on the other yards, because I was only maximum security the whole time I was in prison. I was only level 4 the whole time I was in prison. Now, in order for your points to go down, just to clarify for those who don't know, in order for it to go down, you got to be good. And when I say good, I mean you can't get no write-ups, you can't get no trouble, none of that. And then your points go down every year. You go to a committee and they take points off every year. If you get a job and you go into school, whatever, you get 8 points off every year. But unfortunately for most, especially myself, if you go in there gang affiliated, and I was, I had a gang affiliated crime and that I was convicted for, as well as I went in pushing what I was pushing on the streets, which was Del Paso Heights Bloods. So I went into the prison pushing the same thing I was pushing on the streets. Like, this is what I am. It's not just on me. It was in me at that time. You know what I mean? That's just part of my makeup. That's what I was. That's who I was. So when I went in, it was like, I got to write up, like, the first time. So you when you first go into reception center, you go to a classification prison where they basically figure out where they're going to send you, what kind of level they're going to send you to. And I got in a fight the first time they let me out my cell. Basically, the first time they let me out to the chow hall, I got in a fight. So unfortunately, I was told by an older gentleman while I was still in my county jail, the best way to do your time is the first time somebody say anything retarded to you, get on him and don't get off him until the guards pull you off of him. So I took that message to heart. And that's exactly what I did. I got on him and they had to spray me off of him with a pepper spray, OC pepper spray. So basically my points started going up as soon as I touched the reception center. And I ended up in a level 4 prison. And level 4s, they basically, like I said before, it's where everybody who want to be turned up is at. If you want to be turned up, and those of y'all who don't know what turned up mean, if you're not from Cali or if you ain't heard this language, the people that want to be active in the bull crap, ain't worried about getting in fights or stabbing people or participating in gang riots and racial riots and all that. Those people, they got a place for you. It's the level 4s. You know what I mean? That's what the level 4s is for. That's for all the basically screw ups. I'm trying not to use too much profanity because I want to make sure this video can get monetized. But yeah, that's basically where the screw ups go. And I can't lie, I was a screw up. You know what I mean? I was definitely a screw up. I'm not acting like I was the baddest man on the planet, but I was definitely a screw up. Yeah, but that's basically what it is for level 4. One of the biggest differences of level 4 that I can tell you that differs from other levels is the fact that, well, 3, this is down on 3 too, because I've talked to a lot of people on level 3 and they had some of the same stuff, is the racial segregation. Not just the racial segregation by the administration, which happens in all institutions pretty much, no matter what level. Unless you're in the dorm and you just got to be bunked up where you bunked up, and then the inmate population will separate themselves. But in level 4s and 3s, pretty much, the racial politics, as we call it, they extend much farther than the administration. They get to the point where we separate ourselves, you know what I mean? And we hold ourselves accountable, and there's no interaction. It's no real interaction. There's no friendships. There's no commingling. There's none of that. You know what I mean? It's either only conversation we'd be having with other races, really, mainly Mexican, white, and black is the division, is if it's about war, if it's about funk, you know what I mean? If it's about getting into something, there should be no friendly conversations. I mean, not like that. You know what I mean? Other than, hey, what's happening, man? All right, and keep it moving. You know what I mean?
Okay. That kind of, spills into another question that I wanted to ask you. Just some knowledge for me and my viewers. You're kind of already speaking on it. I kind of want to know, how is it that, with all the politics, all the street politics in California, how is it, so easy, to just turn that off and adjust to the prison politics where it's more on from my understanding from your videos and others like you, it's more of a racial, more racial politics in prison, more so. I would say the racial politics outweigh the gang politics. Is that safe to say?
Absolutely, absolutely, 100 for the most part. So we got something called being disciplined in prison. Disciplined is when you've done something that's against the rules of your organization or car, your racial group, basically your gang, whatever you want to apply as the title for the group of people that you're with in prison, that you're riding with, rolling with, representing. Something that breaks one of the rules. There's a certain set of rules that govern what happens to you if you break a rule. And I was actually disciplined only one time during my entire incarceration. And I got a exercise discipline. That's what it was called, because it was a minor offense. And it was an offense of ignorance. And it was because that first fight I was previously talking about when I was in the reception center was against somebody from my city. And he was also a blood too. But on the streets, our neighborhoods funked with each other. So I wasn't aware or knowledgeable of the fact that in here we don't rock like that. So when he said something I didn't like or did something I didn't like, actually, I took off. I didn't ask for permission. I didn't know the politics at that time. This is 1997. I didn't know the politics. So I just went off of what I knew from the streets. And then I was laced up and told that in here we all we got, you know what I mean, as far as Black people, and mainly at that point, as far as Bloods, like we all got to stick together. We all from Sacramento, you know what I mean? We don't fight amongst each other. You know what I mean? We got to save all the soldiers for the war. You know what I mean? And it really sunk in later in my time. And I learned that, like, I'm going to war with Crips. You know what I mean? I'm going to war with cats from the Bay Area, San Francisco, Oakland, Richmond, all these places. I'm going to war with these people against other races. And I'm seeing these dudes are having my back just the same as homies from my neighborhood would have my back. You know what I mean? So it's like the anything that would have been seen, and it really did change. My prison term really did change my way of looking at other hoods in Sacramento, other people from other neighborhoods in Sacramento, because as a youngster, I mean, I got to keep it all the way 100 with you. If you wasn't from Del Paso Heights, I didn't give a crap. Like, we ain't cool. We ain't got to be cool. I don't care. I'm from the Heights, and that shit, period. Point blank, period. Like, if you ain't from the Heights, oh, well, F you. You know what I mean? But my prison term really did change, because I've had some people that, as a youngster, I would have been trying to murder, really have my back. I've had Crips have my back in situations, go on missions with me, all this stuff in there. And then now I'm out here, and it's like, oh, man, I look at all these dudes, we all just from Sacramento now, man. And even more so, man, we all trying to do something positive now. You know what I mean? We not on the stuff we was on back in 1996 and the 80s, and, you know, when we was all popping out on the streets. We ain't not on that no more in there. In there, we got to be one big car. We're Blacks. You know what I mean? And don't get me wrong, we do have incidents with each other. You know, there are incidents between, like, the Bloods and the Crips in the Bay Area and the Crips. Those are isolated incidents, but they do happen. You know what I mean? I'm not gonna say they don't happen. They definitely happen, but they're far and few between compared to the racial incidents that happen.
All right. Okay. Well, that kind of, like I said, man, everything that you're saying is definitely kind of, leading into other questions that,
Right.
that I already had planned on asking you. And something that I did want to ask you, I heard you mention it on another one of your videos. I think somebody was interviewing you, actually. But I often hear, when it comes to the California prison system, how, the Hispanic race has way more structure than the Black race. And, in the prison system, sometimes, a lot of people got this misinformation that, you know, the Hispanic race is the #1 race. I kind of heard you speak on that, but what I'm asking is it the fact that, you know, the black car and the California prison system has so many different gangs, you know, so many different neighborhoods, so many different blood gangs, you know, does that play a role in it?
All right. Well, discipline is discipline. So let's start there, right? So let's start with discipline is discipline. Some people have a certain kind of discipline. Some people don't. Um, uh, some people were taught a certain kind of discipline. Some people weren't. Some people were never taught to be disciplined as a group. Some people were taught to, I represent my hood, but I rock solo. You know what I mean? People from my generation personally were taught to rock as a group. We were taught to represent where we from, wherever we at. You know what I mean? As a group, not as a singular individual. But as far as in the prison system, yes, that is one of the biggest reasons why the Hispanics have so much what would look and appear to be a better structured system, is because what you have to realize about the Hispanics is they're taught how to function in prison on the streets for the most part. They're taught to rock with their people on the streets. They rock as a people. And everybody has to be a soldier. You know what I mean? As far as my people, like if you a blood, you definitely gotta rock. But where the disconnect is if you're a non-affiliate and you black, you don't gotta rock. You understand what I'm saying? So every Mexican on the yard is gonna rock together. You know what I mean? If you're from Southern California and a Mexican and a racist roll riot pops off, you're gonna perform. And if you don't, then your people are gonna deal with you accordingly. You know, as far as the blacks are concerned, we only can hold our own groups accountable. You know what I mean? So like if a blood don't perform, the bloods will deal with it. Or if a Crip don't perform, a Crip will deal with it. But what happens when the non-affiliates don't perform? You know what I mean? There's no real structure or hierarchy in their group because they're actually labeled as basically a car. Like you're basically not a car, you're not a disruptive group as they would call it, but you're just a bunch of people that are not affiliated with anybody. And there's a lot of them, but they don't rock together either. You know what I mean? They're just non-affiliates. They rock solo. So yeah, there's a lot of, if all the black groups in prison were to come together, the numbers wouldn't be uneven anymore. You know what I mean? And like an incident happened in New Folsom State Prison. New Folsom, that is. It's really called Sacramento State Prison, but everybody calls it New Folsom because it's right next to Old Folsom. But an incident happened there, and the way that they have that prison segregated is the Bloods and Crips got into an incident with each other. They locked down the Bloods and the Crips, but they didn't lock down the people from the Bay Area. So when the Bloods and Crips were locked down, Bay Area were out there by themselves, and that's when the Southern Mexicans decided to attack them. You know what I mean? Which was actually a smart strategic move because the numbers were way down on the black side because all the Bloods and Crips was gone. All the basic soldiers were gone. All you had was the Bay Area homies. They have soldiers as well, obviously. But all you had is them and the non-affiliates on the yard. The non-affiliates aren't going to get involved. So really all you got to deal with is the Bay Area. And let me clarify one thing. Before people come in your comments from California, try to say something. Not all non-affiliates will stand by and not get out. Right. Not all, but there are some that won't get out. Like you got some, no disrespect to anybody's religion. You got some Christians that'll say, hey, I ain't got nothing to do with that. And I'm gonna sit over here and read my Bible, you know what I mean, and do this. While people are slaughtering your people, you know what I mean, and watch your people get slaughtered. Like I wouldn't care if I was a Blood, a Crip, a non-affiliate, a Christian, a Muslim, whatever. If I see another black man in trouble, I'm helping him. I'm helping him, period. So yeah, that's that with that.
Oh yeah, I just kind of want to touch in on something that you just mentioned. Speaking of non-affiliates, when it comes to a level 4, a non-affiliate is, expected to participate in any. He has to put some type of work in, if I'm not mistaken. Well, I'm asking.
No, no, no. It's now. Okay, let's clarify it for you, right?
All right.
If a non-affiliate was to be on the yard, and let's say the skinheads rush the blood pile, rush the blood pile, right? And the Crips run over there to help, which they would. The Bay Area run over there to help, which of course they would. And a non-affiliate doesn't help, or a non-affiliate sits down. It calls sitting down on a riot, right? You sit down instead of going to the incident, right? Which you're expected to run to. I mean, we're in a war zone. Every day is a war zone. So if there's war, you're expected to run towards the scuffle. You know what I mean? That's what's expected, or to at least fight whoever's closest to you. You know what I mean? You know what I mean? At least protect yourself. If they're attacking Black people, you should be protecting yourself. Now, if a non-affiliate was to not do anything, it was to sit down, it's not like off top, guaranteed he's getting smashed, right? Somebody's gonna deal with him, right? But there are a lot of people on the yard, myself included, that would look for a reason after we came off lockdown to isolate that person and deal with that person just on some because you didn't participate. But it's not like it's a foregone conclusion, like we don't expect them to help. But if you in something and you see one of my homeboys sitting right next to you getting stabbed and you don't help him, I'm gonna want to get on you, because now I'm mad you let my homeboy get stabbed and you didn't help him.
Right. Understood. Yeah, definitely, man. You're definitely clearing up a lot of things for me and my viewers. Some questions we might have. Like I said, I've been, doing the North Carolina prison thing, and state to state things are different. I had a good friend of mine was on a few days ago, talking about his federal experience, and some of his federal experience sound similar when he was talking about the different cars and what he saw, from the California car. So don't really want to touch on that.
Well, okay,
Well,
hold on.
you can go ahead.
Hold on. Okay, so respect to anybody who did federal time. I've never done federal time. I've heard there's some federal prisons that's rocking, right? But I'm not trying to be disrespectful. I really ain't. But from what I heard, like, you can't really compare federal prison to state prison. Most people, not all obviously, are in federal prison for different kinds of crime. You know what I mean? Like when you out here smacking stuff and killing stuff and out here on some gang stuff, you're going to state prison. You know what I mean? So understand that mostly all the killers are in state prison. So it's a different kind of rock. It's a different kind of ambiance even. You know what I mean? State prison, don't get me wrong, that don't mean they ain't got no killers there. Obviously they do. But you could take a prison yard, let's say a federal prison yard, which I've never been to, but let's just say you got 30% of the yard are killers. Let's say 30% of the yard are killers. That means you got 70% people that are not killers.
Right. Yeah.
Then you go to a state level 4 maximum security prison yard, Pelican Bay, High Desert, Salinas Valley, Sentinel, Calipatria. You go to one of these prison yards and you got 70% killers and 30% that are not. You know what I mean? So like the level of the level of aggression in I think from what I've seen and what I've heard in a lot of stories, but don't get me wrong, I know obviously there's federal prisons that do be rocking because I've heard the stories about it. But one big incident or a couple big incidents in a 20-year span is really not comparable, in my opinion, and it's a humble opinion, to a war that happened for 4 years straight every time the doze racking one in a level 4 state prison. You know what I mean? Like, we were going at it with the skinheads for at least 4 years straight in Pelican Bay when I was there. You know, so it was every time the doors open. You know what I mean? Not oh, we're gonna come out and talk about it. No, every time the doors open, somebody was getting stabbed. So and no disrespect to your other guests if you're watching this. Hey, bruh.
Yeah.
I'm not trying to hate on the Fed time, the Fed prison. I just think that it's different, man. And if I'm wrong, please correct me. You know what I mean? Please do. Nate.dog916 on Instagram, bro. You can come correct me. Not correct me. Enlighten me. Enlighten me.
Oh yeah, definitely, man. He definitely a stand-up guy, man. He definitely
absolutely
understand exactly what you're saying. Definitely. You kind of spoke on something that I, like I said, man, everything that I, was thinking of asking you, this conversation is leading right into it. I heard you mention in other videos, about it being an automatic green light, on any other race. Is that, strictly in the shoe, or is that, a level 4 thing in total?
Automatic green light. Okay, so we can go 2 different ways. So if you're in the shoe, it's definitely automatic green light on any other race that's on the tier if your door is open. In AdSeg, administer the hole, it's automatic green light on any other race. Because we're in the hole, it's up, period. On the line, if it's a war and it's a war going on, we're on lockdown because some skinheads stabbed a black or some Mexicans stabbed a black, then obviously if the doors rack, it's an automatic green light on any of that race that you see that you're at war with. You know what I mean? But it's not on a main line. It's not an automatic green light on any race. And actually, I'd have to say that in the shoe, it's really only between the blacks, the Mexicans, and the whites that it's like that. Because I really don't think that unless an Asian or you know what I mean, unless an Asian or something that got popped out came at me in a shoe or something, I wouldn't go at them. You know what I mean? For what? You know what I mean? Like, we don't war with them. You know what I mean? We're not adversaries with them in that sense. You know, they just the Asians and they get it popping, but they not. It's a different kind of get down. You know what I mean? They do their time, they handle their business, they stick to themselves. You know what I mean? They're not trying to push no agendas or none of that. So it's a different kind of respect level.
Okay, definitely. Get rid of this screen. I remember watching one of your videos. I think it was about one of your shoe terms. You mentioned that, like you said, when the door pops open, it's a green light, especially when you're back there. You mentioned something about I'm guessing that the doors weren't supposed to open at this particular time. Like
the doors are never supposed to open in the shoe.
Okay.
The doors are never supposed to open unless the officer comes to your door and handcuffs you first. Okay. So if your door opens and the door and you're not handcuffed, you know it's up. You know it's up. And if you come out on that tier and anybody's out there, it's up.
Definitely. Well put. I think you kicked enough game for us, man. I think you educated, not only myself, but definitely my viewers. One question that I always wanted to ask you ever since I first started following you, and I'll get a chance to ask you now. Once you found out, being the the man that you are, with the solid reputation that you had for all these years, how was it once you knew that your time was coming, your time was coming to an end? How hard was it, to stay out of trouble, knowing that you were about to get out, but knowing, what is expected of you and, and you're still in this environment?
Well, what I did, and this is my personal situation that happened. I can't say what anybody else can do or will do or would do or anything, but I had a reputation already. I had a reputation of what I was about while I was in there. I was basically up every time. You know what I mean? Every time something was up, I'm up. Nah, bro, you good? Nah, I'm up. Let's go. Let's do it. You know what I mean? So when it came to the point of me deciding that I had lost 3 release dates already, And you know, because I kept catching more time, because you catch more time while you're incarcerated, obviously. And I kept catching more time. And I called a meeting, you know what I mean? We call meetings, and I went to the older homies, and I told them, man, I'm cool, bro. Like, you know what I mean? At the meeting with all the homies there on the yard in the group, like, I'm cool, man. I'm finna back up, man. I'm finna do me. You know what I mean? I'm finna just finish my time. If it ain't got nothing to do with Sacramento, and this is all Sacramento homies I'm talking to. And I'm like, if it ain't got nothing to do with Sacramento, man, I don't really care, man. Or some racial stuff, yeah, I don't really care. You know what I mean? I did mine. You know what I mean? I did mine. I'm finna be over here trying to get out of prison. You know what I mean? And, you know, I'm gonna be right here on the yard. You know where I'm at. I'll be at the dip bars, or I'll be at the handball court. You know what I mean? If there's something issue, you want to holler at me about something, come get me. And, you know, the homies all had a right to say, nah, you can't. And the OG homies was like, bro, nah, come on, you did yours. Go home, bro. Go home. You know what I mean? And I can only speak for how my older homies handled that. You know what I mean? They handled that way, because they could have just said, nah, you either gonna get, you're gonna be either get in line or you're gonna get rolled over. They could have got at me like that, and I would have just had to get smashed out, or whatever it may have, whatever the decision would have been. But they chose to say, man, do your time, man, finish your time and go home, man. You didn't stay here long enough. And that's what I did. I finished my time and I came home, man.
Definitely, man. Definitely, man.
And don't get me wrong, after that incident, there were other fights I got into, and because after you lived a certain way for so long, it's not easy to just say, oh, okay, I'm just not getting involved in nothing. I play sports. I'm outside. You know what I mean? I'm out here. So a person bumped me or foul me too hard on a basketball court, or get to talking a little too reckless on the handball court, then it becomes like, oh, you want to get down, bro? Like, and then, you know, once somebody say you want to get down, that's a fight. That ain't no, you know what I mean? It ain't really a question. It's let's get down. Right. You know what I mean? So, you know, I got into other little incidents after that, but nothing really to go to the shoot for. You know, I wasn't raising my hand to go put in no work. I wasn't raising my hand to go remove nobody. I wasn't doing none of that no more. That's basically what I mean. Like, if it didn't have nothing to do with it's about to be a riot, yeah, I wasn't volunteering to go do no more stuff no more. That's basically what I mean by backing up.
I heard that, man. I definitely think, you know, the Nate Dogg that I know, you know, since you know everything that you discussed, man, definitely stand up dude, man. A lot of people don't know you, you know, been kind of point guarding me with this whole YouTube experience, man. So definitely shout out to you. Definitely think you're a motivation to others, man. You hear me often talk about a good friend of mine that's, you know, that's behind the wall. So I definitely think, you know, you're a motivation to him and, you know, to other people, you know, on that side and this side. So
wait to meet him on this side. And just so y'all know, man, everybody who watching, man, I'm not on YouTube to promote any kind of prison life or anything like that. You know what I mean? Prison is the dumbest thing you can do with your life. You got to figure out a way, and I don't interview. You got to figure out a way to live better, man, for you and your people. You know what I mean? So, like, I'd rather see my homeboys out here living good, like working, you know what I mean, doing whatever, you know what I mean, doing something to further their families. You know what I mean? When I do interviews on my channel, I only interview people that have gotten out of prison and who are successful at whatever they're trying to do. They don't got to be rich, but you got to be on that path to be successful. You know what I mean? And if you're not being successful, I'm not going to put you on my channel so you can propagate the bull crap to the people. You know what I mean? I'm not into it. I don't do drama. I don't do internet drama. I don't do real life drama. You know what I mean? I'm more of a, and we talked about this yesterday. I'm more of a man. I ain't looking for no smoke. I don't want no smoke, right. But I damn sure ain't allergic to smoke.
Heard that.
You know what I mean? It's that simple. You know what I mean? Everybody stay in their lane, because I'm gonna definitely stay in mine. You know what I mean? But I'm gonna protect mine as well to the fullest extent of my abilities.
Oh yeah, definitely, man. Definitely, like I said, man, I definitely think you're a stand-up guy. You know, definitely, you know, from what I've seen, you know, from your social media, definitely, you know, stand-up husband, stand-up father, stand-up citizen, stand-up guy all the way around. So you know, I definitely want to, you know, once again, man, say thanks for not only doing this interview for me, but you know, let me, you know, kind of, you know, bounce around ideas to you, you know, point me in the right direction with everything that I'm trying to do with this. So, you know, I definitely want to shout out that you all the way in Northern California. I'm in Northern Pitt County, and somehow the message still spreading.
Pitt County, stand up, man.
Definitely.
Stand up.
I appreciate you for doing this, man. I think we're gonna wrap things up right here. It's been another edition of More to Live For. Why settle for less when my last name's Moore? We out of here.